That was President Trump's budget director, Mick Mulvaney, talking about the Republican health care bill failing to be brought up for a vote on Friday. Mulvaney, a former member of the Freedom Caucus, pointing out that moderate Republicans also played a role in the bill's demise. For more, I want to bring in Republican Congressman Leonard Lance of New Jersey, who was a firm no on the Republican health care bill. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
After an incredibly busy day on Friday, President Trump, as you know, first he blamed Democrats. He basically blamed the Freedom Caucus for sinking the bill. But as Mick Mulvaney pointed out, moderates like you were also firmly against this piece of legislation. Where do you think the blame lies if you had to look back?
I think we should move forward and try to work together to improve the situation for all Americans. As you know, the exchanges are not doing well, and in one-third of the counties in this country, there is only one insurer. And so let's move forward and work together to improve the system.
But then how come you couldn't fix it? How come you couldn't get anything through last week?
I think that the bill was not a bill that I could support, and this was true of others as well. And I think we need a better bill, and I want to work with colleagues, not only Republicans, but I would ask Democrats to come to the table to fix the system, because I think the system needs significant improvement.
Is that practical to find a bipartisan way forward at this point? Democrats are we're doing a jig on Friday, quite frankly.
I didn't like their doing a jig, and I think that they should recognize, as we recognize, that the exchanges need vast improvement and that we have to have a better system for the American people. And I want to continue to work on this issue. There are other issues that are important. For example, we have to address raising the debt ceiling by the end of April, and I'm sure that will come to the fore in the next several weeks.
So let's talk about what comes next, because a lot of people seem to think that you can't bring health care up again for a while and that you're going to have to get to probably tax reform next. Is that your bet?
I think the next thing we have to do is address the debt ceiling, and that has to be done by the end of April. And then, of course, tax reform is a very important issue, and I hope we can work in a bipartisan capacity on tax reform.
Are you, to address the debt ceiling, since you brought it up, are you concerned that we're headed for a government shutdown?
I, of course, have opposed a government shutdown in the past, and this is when Barack Obama was president, and I hope the Democrats would not be involved in any sort of shutdown of the government now that Donald Trump is president. I think it's irresponsible on either side, and I hope we can move forward in a sober way in that regard.
And I just misspoke. You're talking about the continuing resolution, right? You're talking about the effort to keep the government running after April 28th.
That is correct, yes.
What about taxes? Let's talk about that. I want to play a little part of a response, if I can, from Sunday. This is from Chairman Mark Meadows from the Freedom Caucus, talking about tax cuts, and that tax cuts, he says, would have to be offset by spending cuts. Take a listen.
I think there's been a lot of flexibility in terms of some of my contacts and conservatives in terms of not making it totally offset. And that's a move that we're trying to do to provide real relief and economic growth. When we start to grow the economy at 4.1%, it actually not only increases wages, but it puts more money in Americans' pockets each and every day. And so tax reform and lowering taxes, will create and generate more income. And so we're looking at those, where the fine balance is, but does it have to be fully offset? My personal response is no.
So he's saying it doesn't have to be fully offset, right? So that you can cut taxes without reducing spending by the same amount. Do you agree?
I would want to see any proposal. I'm a fiscal hawk, and so I'm not sure that I do agree with that. I understand the concept of dynamic scoring, where, as the result of a vibrant economy, more tax revenues may come into our coffers, but I would want to see the plan in detail before voting yes or no on it.
Well, we'll have you back when we know what that plan looks like. Congressman Leonard Lance of New Jersey, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.